This is a 1994 Toyota Hiace Super Custom two-wheel drive, officially named the Living Saloon. I closed on it at auction in Tokyo the last week of December, and a couple weeks ago, it arrived at port in Tacoma. I am using this vehicle as my home for the next several months, and until the end of the year, I am driving around America, experiencing soccer and the community it creates in every part of this country. I lived in Washington, D.C. for the past 10 years, and at the end of 2023, I felt so burned out, and I knew that that was not the city I wanted to spend the next 10 years in. I started making content as a creative outlet and an escape from my day job, but that meant whenever I traveled for soccer, it was a whirlwind weekend, 72 hours in any given city watching a Major League Soccer game, really only getting to know the stadium, the one restaurant that was recommended to me, and the hotel I stayed in. So I'm taking this road trip as an opportunity to really embed myself in each place that I travel. I'm starting in the Pacific Northwest, which was not the plan, by the way. My parents are in Georgia, and that's where all of my things and all my resources are. So the build out is temporary, and it'll be kind of slow. The plan is to do it over time, but to not let that impede me from making content out of it and bringing you along on the journey. I know you want a tour. Let me just tidy up first.
I feel like it's taken so much to get to this point, and I'm sitting with 160 pounds worth of my life in baggage claim, realizing that I did not book a hotel for tonight. It's 9:30, it's not that bad, but I'm gonna sit here and do that. Welcome to Seattle. Even if things had gone to plan and this van showed up in February like it was supposed to, the whole process would still be pretty unceremonious. And that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm having very conflicting feelings about how exciting it is that this time tomorrow I could have this van I feel like I've waited for a long time. But all of the logistical hurdles that you have to jump through, even if things go right, it's difficult. And I'm finally reckoning with that in this moment. I was just interested in finding a good vantage point to see the port from this side of the harbor. Of all the things to happen upon, it's that high school where they filmed 10 Things I Hate About You. There's a full-on lacrosse match going on, and I've never watched lacrosse in my entire life. I'm waiting to be picked up by my friend Leon's contact. Oh, there he is. He said white Ford diesel. Okay, his name's Taylor. I've never met him. He's been so helpful though. So I got him an oat milk latte.
Okay, ride number is going to be 344187.
Thank you.
Good to go on in and get it. You're welcome.
Have a good day. I just go tell them that number and they bring it out. That's really
really?
silly.
Okay.
You have to have this to go tell them that. It's so
I love that.
It's just gatekeeping. That's all it is. Literally gatekeeping.
For reals, gatekeeping. This is so crazy.
This one looks decent, right? That looks...
Yeah.
New. I'm not seeing a date code, but...
Shut up, shut up. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I told Taylor ahead of time that I wanted the third row of seats removed, but now that I'm looking at it, I think I should just get both rows of seats removed. I'm just having a really hard time with the concept of saying goodbye to them right away. Back seat, second row. And on today's episode of You're Exactly Where You're Supposed to Be, I get to see my BFF from college. Oh my gosh! I'm sorry, oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. Wait, that train is so much better than my train. That's not fair. Hey, friend.
Show your beautiful eyes.
That's so funny. I am 1000% coming back to Tacoma. I have spent the past 48, 72 hours just really wrapped up in acquiring the van, so I haven't had a chance to explore. Ideally, IKEA would be the place where I'd get everything for my temporary build out, but I did not know the exact measurements for this thing until I actually got it. No matter how many times I messaged Hiace Facebook pages, no one could give me exact measurements, mostly because everyone had theirs built out and didn't save the original. Worst case scenario, I walk away with pillows. That would also be just fine with me. I'm mean, I don't know how on the nose we want to go, but I am tempted. I was talking to Taylor last night and she had this idea for me to put turf on the ground of my van, which I actually think could be a cool idea, especially for the space where people are going to sit. And by people, I mean players are going to sit and do interviews. But I have no idea where to buy that. And I don't think that it's at IKEA. You're getting a very early look at this thing because I'm still working on getting everything I need. So right now it's basically just an empty van with all of my stuff. Every single day I create a mess like this, and then at nighttime in the dark, because I'm embarrassed for anyone to know that I'm in here, I try to tidy up before I fall asleep. And every morning I put all of my bedding over here and then carry on about my day to make another mess. No matter how the build out looks, I'm definitely keeping the cube storage because it's perfect to display things in when I open the trunk up. But the things that I've ordered and I'm still waiting for are this like accordion collapsible bed frame made out of industrial grade cardboard from a company called Yona. And I can pull that all the way out to use as a bed with my trifold mattress, or I can move it halfway and then make a bench with this being the back. With a trifold mattress, you can fold it up and make it a seat right here. This thing gets an insane amount of light and it has 4 sunroofs in total. There are 2 rows of curtains. They're not blackout curtains, but they provide a lot of privacy. And this thing can be a total fishbowl if you want it to be. I know I'm about to show you the rigmarole I went through to build this thing, but I can't decide if I like it. Currently it's situated like this because it's super easy to keep stable, but I know I need table space for when my sewing machine comes and then also just to get work done. Right now this serves as my pantry, but it's so bulky and sometimes it feels really silly sitting here with my camp chair. Some other cool features I'm thinking about when I do interviews, maybe having players sign the car above me. I also really just want to build it out in the quirkiest way possible. All of the quirkiest, coolest things about the HiAce are almost exclusively on the dashboard. Let me show you. Here is an import for a mic and a speaker. I also have a 10-disc CD player just behind my chair. I have no way of telling how many miles per hour I'm driving. If I'm being honest, I refuse to buy any sort of odometer. I'm just using like cross-country rules, you know? 3.2 miles is 5 kilometers. 32 miles per hour is 50 kilometers. 64 miles per hour is 100 kilometers. Everything else is really just none of my business. The purpose this thing serves has yet to be determined. And because of how small the front of the van is, there's a very interesting place for the engine. It's a mess. I'm so embarrassed. But I have to show you. I'm gonna go to a parking lot and assemble this desk. It's Friday, May 3rd. Good morning. Eventually I would like to do a full build out. Right now, because I'm starting this whole thing very far away from any and all resources I would have had from the past 10 years, I'm just getting enough furniture to allow me to sleep comfortably and to interview people comfortably. I also don't want to spend any more time than I absolutely have to right now outfitting this thing because that requires so much research and making decisions that are going to cost me a lot. I want to be all in for under $10,000, which so far I am. I maintain my idea that if a few months in I really hate van life, I can walk away from it without being too far in the hole. If you watch any of those van life videos on YouTube, you'll know that some of those build outs are over 10 grand. That's not me. We're trying to make van life that works for me. Soccer first, van life second. This is simply the vehicle for soccer. The biggest reason why I decided to import a vehicle from Tokyo as opposed to just buying something here was because I have my friend Leon and his business Toshi Imports, who are so used to doing this thing. I knew I would be taken care of, and all of the maintenance that was done in Japan for so much cheaper. I won't show you all the documents I was required to procure in order to get this thing into America, but I will say just to pay for the vehicle in full was under $5,000. That was a Leon special, by the way. Mileage, 119 kilometers, 70,000 miles. And the things I've learned about registering this vehicle have been even more extensive. For example, the chassis number, essentially the VIN, isn't a full 17-digit number like it is for American vehicles, which means I cannot even register or title this thing in the state of Georgia. That's where my parents are, where for a while I thought I would be importing to, into Savannah, and
impossible. I don't know what kind of deal they have against cute little Japanese cars because they let people put tires the size of Japanese cars on their freaking trucks. A certified document from the Environmental Protection Agency, a declaration from the Department of Transportation saying that they imported and it was subject to safety, bumper, theft, and prevention standards. My export certificate in Japanese. I have a copy in English. Oh, also an entry summary for Customs and Border Protection. Not to mention the fact that I essentially had to have a handler with me at port. Otherwise, they would either charge you or not allow you admission to pick it up when it was released. I never once cried to Leon. I did cry to my parents, I think, twice.
No, I haven't given the van a name yet. I want to, but I also don't want to rush it. So maybe I can put some here in post and you can help me decide.
I have a very loose schedule that has me, of course, in the Pacific Northwest for the next couple of weeks. I'll make my way down to California and then head east, depending on where the Leagues Cup takes me, through Utah, Colorado, or Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. I do have one game in September that's important for me to attend, and that's FC Cincinnati hosting Columbus Crew. And from there, it's relatively easy to schedule what happens before and after. I want to hit the last few stadiums I have on my list, but that means going to Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Foxborough. I plan to end the year in the South, specifically Florida.
And as I answer one last question, let's take a moment to celebrate the short but meaningful life of this table that I have decided I want nothing to do with. I just took it apart in about, I don't know, a quarter of the time it took me to put it together. So I know I made it sound like I'm just doing MLS games, but that could not be farther from the truth. I want to experience every level, every division of soccer in America. And I think because I want to use the van as a pop-up, meet-up, pre-game tailgate space, whatever, I think that'll be a lot easier to accomplish in communities with lower division teams. I also think those are the stories I'm most interested in. And if you are interested in supporting me, that is definitely one way to do it, to show up when I come into town, or to put me in touch with people you think would make for great conversation. And really feel free to give me any advice about how you think things are going, or where I should be throughout the year. Just, I don't know, something to think about.